This video is for education and entertainment purposes only. Please consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health plan. Hey beautiful soul, it's Jacqueline here from the Labia Chronicles, where I discuss all things lichen sclerosus. So if you have lichen sclerosus and are looking to empower yourself with information, find acceptance, and reclaim your life, then please subscribe to this channel and keep on watching. And if you have a friend or loved one with lichen sclerosus and you want to learn more about the mental and physical health aspects of living with lichen sclerosus so that you can better support them in their journey, then please subscribe to this channel as well and share it with them. All right, so I've been getting some really good feedback on these shorter informational videos, so that's what we are going to do today. Specifically, I am going to address a question that keeps coming up in my DMs and in my emails, perhaps unsurprisingly, given the summer heat in the Northern Hemisphere. That is, I am going to address the question of, can I swim with lichen sclerosus? So we are going to talk about swimming and lichen sclerosus, hence me wearing my little bathing suit for this little short video to kind of stay on topic. So as always, if you find the information in this video helpful, please subscribe, please leave a thumbs up, and leave me a comment. All right, let's jump right into this. So if you've been recently diagnosed with lichen sclerosus or are kind of new to living with lichen sclerosus, you might have some questions about lifestyle in lichen sclerosus. Specifically, you might be wondering if you can swim with lichen sclerosus. And if that's you, you are definitely not alone in that. My emails and my DMs alone can attest to the fact that this is a concern for many people with vulvar lichen sclerosus. And I can say, from personal lived experience that this was a question I had as well. So as a self-proclaimed kind of water baby, someone that grew up as a competitive swimmer, and someone who really found joy and peace and comfort in being in the water and swimming, when I was diagnosed with lichen sclerosus, I was crushed because I thought that was taken away from me. I assumed that because my vulvar skin was so fragile and sensitive and prone to tearing and itching and all of these terrible things, I just assumed that the water would kind of irritate it more. And I figured that I wouldn't be able to wear a bathing suit because it was too tight. And I'm not really sure what those assumptions were based on. Certainly there's no kind of information on kind of these lifestyle pieces of lichen sclerosus in the medical literature. So I think I just didn't know enough about lichen sclerosus and just made the assumption that I couldn't swim anymore. So again, if that's you, you are definitely not alone. So with respect to the question, can you swim with lichen sclerosus? Absolutely, you can swim with lichen sclerosus. Are there times when you should avoid swimming with lichen sclerosus? In my opinion, and this is just my opinion because as I mentioned, there's not really any medical literature looking at this because it's more lifestyle. In my opinion, I personally would not swim if I was either in an active flare or if I had any open sores or tears or fissures. So if that was me, I would want to either, calm the flare first or allow, those tears and fissures to heal. And once those were healed up, then I would go swimming. So let's assume that you have no tears or active cuts or fissures and you're not in an active flare and you want to go swimming. I'm going to share the protocol that I use whenever I go swimming. And this is just, to be a little extra cautious and make sure that we're really protecting the skin and, setting ourselves up for success. So the first step is to apply a barrier cream. So a barrier cream is essentially like a thick ointment. So think of things like Vaseline or Aquaphor. I'll pop those up on the side here. That may vary depending on the country that you're in, so you can kind of just try and find an equivalent to those brands or those products. You could also use an emollient as well, such as coconut oil. So you apply that to the vulvar area first, then put on your bathing suit. Then you swim, enjoy the water, live your best life, soak it up. And then when you are done swimming, you come out. Now, ideally, step 4, you want to change out of your wet bathing suit as soon as possible. Then once you've changed out of it, you want to rinse, take a shower or just kind of rinse off that area. And then reapply, another barrier cream or an emollient of choice, and then you are good to go. All right, I want to talk about why I do these steps. Okay, so let's talk about the first step, which is to apply a barrier cream. So a barrier cream is very much what it sounds like. It is a kind of protective layer that creates a barrier between your vulvar skin and any kind of external thing, right? In this case, that external thing is a body of water with certain chemicals in it. So essentially, when you apply that layer to the vulvar skin, you now have this protective layer such that, the chemicals from the chlorine or, the salt water, they're not kind of directly touching the vulvar skin, because you have that little protective barrier that's kind of keeping those chemicals away, or, it's not kind of directly touching the vulva. So it just kind of adds this protective layer. Okay, so then let's talk about why you want to ideally change out of your bathing suit as soon as possible. So most gynecologists and dermatologists will always encourage you to get out and change out of your wet bathing suit as soon as possible. And that's because staying in that kind of wet environment encourages fungal growth, which can, in some instances, lead to fungal infections like yeast infections. Now, living with lichen sclerosus sucks enough as it is. We don't also want to add a yeast infection on top of that if we can avoid doing so. Another reason is that if you think about it, your bathing suit, if you go swimming in the pool, right? Swim for an hour or two, you come out, that bathing suit, it's still wet and it still has those chemicals from the pool, so chlorine or whatever else they're using to kind of treat the water, that is now sitting up against your vulva. And yes, you have that protective layer, but some of it has probably kind of, gone away with swimming in time. So we're kind of marinating those chemicals into the vulvar skin by kind of staying in them. Now, if you're not able to change out of your bathing suit right away, depending on where you are, I know some pools and some beaches have freestanding showers. So what you could do is use one of those. Just to kind of rinse and get some of those chemicals out of the bathing suit a bit. So now it's more just water and not chlorine and. So that's an option. Or, you just change out of your bathing suit as soon as possible. I have definitely had moments where I was at the beach and I couldn't be bothered to walk all the way back to where I was staying. So I just kind of, stayed in my wet bathing suit, and it wasn't the end of the world. I did have my barrier cream on and everything, and it didn't cause me any issues. So again, don't kind of overthink it and let that steal your joy in being in that moment with friends, with family. Just as soon as you can, try and, kind of take it off. So then you're going to obviously shower and rinse, and that's just kind of to clean the area and get rid of any kind of lingering chemicals that might be there. And then when you're done showering, you do want to kind of apply an emollient, which I do have a video on vulvar emollients. I will leave that up here or here, and it will also be in the description box below for you to check out. But really briefly, an emollient is essentially just a moisturizer for your vulva. Now, this is important because the salt in the water from the ocean and chlorine and various chemicals that are used to treat kind of pool waters, that can all be very, very drying. So it can really dry out the vulvar skin. And when our vulva is super dried out, it can feel very irritating and itchy and uncomfortable. So by applying the emollient afterwards, we're just kind of rehydrating and adding moisture back into the vulvar area so that we can feel as comfortable as possible. So to wrap up this very short video, if you have lichen sclerosus, you can absolutely swim. Do not let lichen sclerosus steal your joy or steal your life. You can absolutely continue doing a ton of things that you used to do. You just might have to make some small modifications to how you go about doing things to make sure that, we keep things stable and calm and happy and healthy down there. All right, so I invite you to share your experience with swimming in the comments. If you have any tips for helping with swimming with lichen sclerosus, if you want to share, let me know if you thought you could swim, if you've swam since you've been diagnosed, or if you've been nervous. Just share your experience in the comment section below. And that is it for this video. I will catch you in the next one.